Hey guys, welcome to the Titanium Vault. I'm your host, RJ Bates III. And after, with 3, 4, 5 guests in a row mentioning the guest of honor today, we had to finally get him on here. The man that literally lives the life that everyone dreams to live, Mr. Nick Perry. How you doing, man?
Good, man. I used to live in the back of my car, so I guess we're doing all right now. You know, it, it's been a journey, but yeah, this was the goal was to be able to do whatever I want, whenever I want, with the people that I want to do it, and nobody can tell me any different. So happy to
There
be
you
here,
go.
man. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you, man. You're one of those people that I think everybody looks at with. I guess the best way I can put it is some people will be envious of the life that you lead, right? Some people will be confused by the life that you lead. But for someone like me, I look at it and I'm just proud of you. I mean, because I know what it takes to build the business that you have to lead the life that you lead. And so I just want to start off the episode by saying, brother, I'm proud of you, man. We've been in this business the same amount of time. And you're an inspiration for so many of us. So with that being said, let's go back to the beginning. You said you started off by living in the back of your car. So share us the journey. How'd you get started in this?
My whole life I just wanted to be rich. My dad, I lived with him when I was a teenager, and he didn't have any money. We lived in the one bedroom apartment, Section 8, and when groceries ran out, we'd have to wait to get paid again until we got groceries again. So I started working from a young age, and I realized, like it, it's gonna nobody's coming to save you. You got to go make your own way out there. And I started sales at an early age. I was selling cell phones, and I did that. I dropped out of high school to work full time. And then I was a personal trainer. And all my personal training clients were crushing it. They were telling me about their trip to the Maldives and they lived in the gated communities. And I was like, what the hell do these guys do for a living? And so I interviewed all my clients and they're like, well, I'm in real estate or I own this business. None of them had a W-2 job, not
Right.
one of them. And I was like, well, success leaves clues. I should probably figure out how to do this real estate thing. And at the time, I had no money. I was kind of faking it till I made it. I was living in the back of my car, showering at the gyms, living in a Pontiac Grand Prix with no AC, and just figuring out what I needed to do to level up. And I moved to Austin, Texas in 2014 with $5,000 in my name. I had no connections, no friends out there, no job lined up. I just knew I had to get the hell out of my hometown. I grew up in Northern Virginia. It was fucking miserable there. So moved to Austin and moved to a one-bedroom apartment with an air mattress and no furniture and a laptop. And I started realizing, I was like, I'm going to have to get a job, but I need to figure out this fucking real estate thing. So while I was applying for jobs, I was watching YouTube videos on Sean Terry and wholesaling. And that's how I got going, and it was not an overnight success at all. It took me 11 months and 104 face-to-face seller appointments before I got my first deal. So I got kicked out of 104
104.
houses. I was fucking terrible, man. I needed RJ Bates's Titanium University back then. I didn't have it. So
Golly, man, 104. Listen, you know what's crazy about that story though is like some people look at like the living and the car and the moving and all that. I look at the 103 no's that you got and you were still willing to show up to the 104th. That's what
yeah,
separates you from the competition.
that's what really gets, that I think that's what separates the men from the boys is being able to have that tenacity and almost, delusion to persist when times get rough. Because in entrepreneurship, it's going to get rough. And you got to have that dog inside of you. No pun intended. My dog's barking in the background.
Yeah.
In order to make it. I remember at appointment like 75, I started getting that little bitch voice. Don't close that because Wi-Fi is gonna cut out. I started getting that little bitch voice that, maybe it's not to cut out for me. Maybe I don't have whatever it takes. And I just burned all the ships. I said, you know what? I didn't come this far to only come this far. I'm going to figure this out either one way or another. I'm going to go back to being homeless, or I'm going to be fucking successful. One of the two. And that was the end of the story there. And I just kept on grinding it out.
Could you imagine how many lives would be different if you had said no at appointment 75? I mean, bro, the amount of seller, like roughly, I know you don't know the specific number. How many deals do you think you've done?
Shit, man. I mean, just average it, probably call it 250 a year for the last four years, probably 1,000 right there. Just call it, 1,500, 17, 1,800 deals.
So just round number, 1,500 sellers' lives potentially. And then the team members that you've had work for you, the people that you've trained in your mentorship program and in your education, just because you decided not to give in to that bitch voice. I mean, there's a lot to be said about that, bro. And I mean, listen, being an entrepreneur is hard. I mean, there's times where things go wrong where I've wanted to say no. I've had to give myself that pep talk where it's like, dude, what did I do? Like, I completely just fucked myself and I wanted to give up. And then I look back and it's like, yeah, but look at the lives that we've changed since then if I hadn't given up. So 104th appointment, you finally get a deal. Talk to me, where does it become like this is a business and like you start delegating things out to other people?
So here's what I did that was smart. Was I went and I got a job in the beginning. And this is contrarian to what a lot of these gurus are going to tell you out there. I went and got an inside sales job at Indeed.com. So I was banging the phones for Indeed during the day. And then I would come home and every single evening until, midnight, 2:00 in the morning, that's when I was doing real estate. And then on the weekends too. So Saturday, Sunday, I was hammering out calls, going on appointments, whatever it takes. There was no vacations for the first 2 or 3 years, but Indeed provided me a really good living because it was inside sales, and I went in there and did very well in that job. I made $200,000 a year at Indeed. So I went from like almost being evicted from my apartment, broke, busted, and disgusted to like rookie of the year, Top Gun. Now I'm closing deals in real estate. I got a high-rise apartment. I'm doing all right. Making 3 to 5 deals a month, and I got to a point where it took me about 2 years of my corporate job, and then I was able to go full time. So I could have done it sooner, but I fucked up. I moved to Texas, and nobody told me in Texas they got a little thing called common law. So you probably know what it is, but I dated a girl for 11 months, and she got laid off, so she moved in with me, month 8, and she started taking seller calls. Well, on month 11, I broke up with her, and she took me for common law. In Texas, if a girl or a guy lives with you for more than 3 days or they get mail there, they can claim common law marriage, which means you have to get divorced, even if you're not married. So on paper, I'm divorced, but I'm never married. So I ended up losing. I had like 180 grand saved up. I torched my account down to like 10 grand because I was fighting that battle, paying attorney fees. And I just kept closing deals. Sales cures all, you know what I mean? And I worked my way back out of that issue. And then within a few months, I was right back where I was before. And I quit my corporate job and then built my team up. That was 2016, 2017.
Love it. Love it. So 2016, 2017, you start building the team up. So I want to talk a little bit about you and I have very similar opinions about this. So I want to talk about the people that are just getting started. Let's talk directly to them for a second. I saw this reel that you did the other day where you're like, dude, you need leads and a cell phone. You don't need any other shit. Like, talk about that a little bit.
Those are the guys that end up never doing anything, is the ones that come in and they're like, I have to have my LLC and my G Suite, and I need to make sure my CRM and my phone system is all hooked up before I can get a lead and make an offer. And I need to go to all these seminars and do all this training and know everything. No, you do not. You got a cell phone. You got you can get a lead. All you got to do is pick up the phone. Everything else you can figure out, right? Ton of good shit online you can learn for free to go make an offer with a seller. You can send a contract, over email. So don't overcomplicate this process because it's called paralysis analysis. A lot of people get stuck in that loop. And I closed 60 deals before I even had an LLC.
Bro, you were just slinging deals.
Just fucking slinging, man. That was it.
I love it. You know what's crazy though is that there's different personality types out there though. Do you think that having your personality type helped you with that, where it was like that relentless, like, I'm not gonna fucking give up. I don't need a fucking CRM. Just give me a seller to talk to, and I'm gonna get this. Do you think that's like naturally bred in you, or is that something that you had to like learn how to get in and out of yourself?
I was shy growing up as a kid, but like I told you, I came from adversity. My parents didn't have money or anything like that. So I had just such a burning desire to be successful that nothing was going to stop me. And I was never naturally, I was always kind of an introvert, shy kid growing up. I didn't have any sales abilities, so it was learned and it was developed, through, going through adversity in my life. That's why I see a lot of people out there that, that grew up with a silver spoon in their mouth. And I think that limits them in a certain way. When we hire people, I look for people that, have had some sort of, trials and tribulations that they had to endure, because that's what builds character. And that character is what builds success.
I agree with that, man. I mean, I look back at my 20s and it was like, dude, my 20s were hard. Like, that decade was not fun. My 30s have been pretty fun. 20s sucked, dude. There was a lot of trials and tribulations to go through for sure. And it makes you enjoy the ride a lot more when you have to go through those trials and tribulations and like really battle for what you've earned the right to have nowadays, right? So more on the tactical side of things, one of the things that I've really liked about you, really since I think I met you in 2018 at wholesaling. I think that was the first time me and you met, which is crazy that was 6 years ago. But dude, you've always been the PPC guy. Like, when did you start running PPC ads for your business?
Pretty much right out of the gate. So I set up, right when I got a job at Indeed, I started watching like YouTube videos. I put myself through YouTube University. That's how I learned how to do real estate. And there was like one guy in 2014 that was doing PPC for real estate investing. And he had a small little YouTube channel, maybe like, 50 subscribers. And I used to just like binge watch his content. And I did the old outside sales tactic. I was like, hey, man, I'm actually going to be in your town next week. Well, he lived in like Danbury, Connecticut. I was in Texas. I was like, I'm going to be there next Tuesday. Can I take you out to lunch? I'll pay you to take you out to lunch. And he responded and said yes. So when he responded and said yes, I booked a flight and got my ass up there, rented a car from JFK Airport, drove 4 hours in the middle of January into the snow, and took this guy out to lunch. I ended up getting him real drunk, and we got shit faced. And I got him to agree to mentor me, and so I paid him $2,000 for some Zoom calls, and that's how I learned how to do PPC. And it's evolved since then. But that taught me enough to be dangerous.
That's the best plane flight and $2,000 you've ever spent.
For sure.
So, I mean, dude, you've been running those ads, and like you said, it's evolved over the course of time, but you've always seen what is now the trend. I mean, the trend now is inbound leads, right? Through these PPL providers, people running their own PPC. But you've always been riding that train where it's like, I mean, were you ever really big into the cold calling, direct mail, texting scene? Were you doing that, or was it pretty much always just PPC?
Big time. Yeah, back 2016 to 2018, we had big cold calling. We had Call Geeks going with 18 callers. We had texting. We were using 80/20 REI for texting, spending a lot of money there. We made money with it, but I was comparing it versus my PPC, and there was just no comparison, right? The amount of leads that it took to get a contract, the amount of time that it takes to get a contract. Everybody wants to think about what's their cost per lead and what's their return, but nobody quantifies the amount of hours that it takes to get that contract. That time is money. Like how fast can you turn your cash? So, the time from lead to close, it was 43 days with PPC. It was like almost 6 months with cold calling.
Yep.
As opposed to a month and a half. And that was like, just cut this off because I can turn my money much faster.
It's also the mental bandwidth for your team. I mean, dude, texting and cold calling and calling these sellers that you cold outreach. I mean, dude, it's a kick in the nuts. I mean, it's just with inbound.
My guys
it's
in
like,
Austin are fucking spoiled. If I gave them cold calling leads now, they walk out and quit.
Facts, bro. I mean, now with these inbound leads, I mean, it's just like, hey, you came to us. You want to sell? How much you want? Boom, let's get this ball rolling, baby. It's fun. It's enjoyable. The team is so much more relaxed, at least for us. I mean, we've pretty much limited it down where there's a little bit of cold calling, but not a whole lot. So you said the past 4 years, 250 deals a year. So what happened 4 years ago where that volume really kind of ramped up and where you've been able to sustain that kind of volume? What happened 4 years ago?
Well, I stepped out of my business completely 4 years ago. So that was a big milestone. I, was working 60, 80 hours a week in my office there in Austin, Texas. And I groomed who's now CEO all the way up from a leads manager to an acquisitions, to a team lead, to a COO, all the way into the CEO position. So that was a big thing I'm super proud of, was I was able to do that and really get into the owner's box where I'm able to see my business from a 60,000 foot view. That I actually, when I moved away from my business, I made more money. Probably because I'm a bull in a china shop when I'm in my office. I'm there, breaking stuff. So that was a big milestone for sure.
But why do you think that's better? Because I think most people look at that and say that's impossible. I mean, I can never work myself out of my business. I mean, how do you get to that point? Was it like intentional? Was that always the thing where it was like, hey, I'm working to get myself out of an active role in my business?
Listen, I love wholesaling. It's what got me out of the gutter, but it's by no means where, I want to say like, this is it for me. I'm the king wholesaler. Like that doesn't move the needle for me. So like my end goal is to be able to have, more than, multiple successful businesses like Mark Cuban or Mr. Wonderful on Shark Tank. They've got a portfolio of successful companies. So that's the direction that I'm heading in now. And I realize that, all those guys, they have CEOs that run those companies, and those CEOs report, to the board. So I'm essentially the executive chairman and the board of my holdings company. So that was always kind of the goal. And I always say, if you can't leave your business for a few months and come back with more money in your bank account, you don't have a business, you got a job.
Yeah, it's facts, bro. I'll be honest with you. This month, I've spent less time here at the office than ever before. And when I am here, I'm pretty much just sitting right here in front of this computer doing this, which is not really anything inside of the wholesaling business, right? This doesn't move the needle on deals getting closed. And we're having a record-breaking month across the board. And it's one of those just super exciting moments where it's like, man, this feels really good. I have a different personality than you, where like you want where you're at, and I want where I'm at. I actually enjoy being here, and like it bothers me to not be here. Like
I do
that's
too.
just who I am.
That's why the hell I had to move out of Austin, because if I was in Austin, I would be in the office every day.
That's what I was gonna ask you. Is like, okay, so you moved out of the country, right? That was your first move. Was like from Austin. Where did you move to?
I moved to Miami, and then I lived in Miami for 2 years. Loved it, but I couldn't step outside of my house without spending $500 in Miami. I go to Chipotle, somehow it's $500, and it was fun. But I realized Latin America, I could have the same Miami lifestyle for a quarter of the cost. And so I moved down there, and I always wanted to move out of the country too. So that once I had the freedom to do that, I was like, you know what, this is the opportunity I've been waiting for. So when life gives you opportunities, you better take it.
So
I
you
moved
went
down to
Miami to Panama, right?
Yep, and now I'm in Cancun, Mexico.
Nice. So that's where you are right now. That's what I'm staring at is Cancun right there.
Beautiful Cancun, Mexico. Got Isla Mujeres here behind me. So you're right on the beach in the port of Cancun. So I absolutely love it here.
I'm glad you picked up the computer there to show people that that's not one of those Zoom like AI.
This is
background.
not a Zoom background. This is the real deal. This is the balcony.
That's the real deal.
It's real.
I love it. I love it. So you're living out of the country. Talk about like your day-to-day interaction with your wholesaling business. What does that look like? Is it just like weekly meetings? They send reports to you. What does Nick do on a day-to-day basis?
In my wholesaling business, so I do one thing only really is I watch the numbers on the business, and then I still manage our PPC campaigns, me personally, because it takes me no time, and I've run those campaigns for so long that it's like I know that intimately. It wouldn't make sense for me to hand it off to anybody. And I tell everybody, like, once you understand it, like it doesn't take any time. So I do that, but I watch the scorecard. Like we got a company scorecard we look at every single week. I check my cash accounts. I know how much we have on credit cards, what's going on weekly with our closings. But I couldn't tell you a single property address we have, or who we're hiring or who we're firing. Brandon, my CEO, the buck stops at him. So he's responsible to hit quarterly numbers, right? He's responsible for not only a certain amount of gross revenue, but the most important thing is your net revenue. So making sure we're hitting those net quarterly revenue numbers.
Right. So with all of that freedom that you have, I mean, what do you do? Because you said if you were in Austin, you'd be showing up at the office. So obviously you like working. You're an entrepreneur by spirit. So what the fuck are you doing with all your time?
Well, the last 2 years, I really fucked off and I went all around the world. I traveled, to all my bucket list places that I wanted to travel. And now that I'm kind of running out of that, I've, we've been building up some bolt-on businesses, hard money lending, DSCR loans, and fix and flip loans. We'll start offering soon to our community and building that out. I've got another marketing and sales company that I'm building up right now that I can't talk about publicly yet. So really excited about, those projects, but, I just lean into my strengths. What am I good at? I'm good at, marketing, sales, and building teams. So it's going to be a lot more of that and just different verticals.
Well, you left one big thing out.
What?
The one real big thing. So you went out and you said, okay, I'm going to check up all these things off my bucket list. And then you also said, I guess I better become a dad, right?
Yeah. So
that's
really excited
one,
about that. I got the baby. Yep. I've been, that was the thing for me. I said, I want to make money. I want to travel the world, then have kids. So I intentionally did that. I waited till I'm 35. I got, baby coming in August, baby girl. I can't wait. So it's going to be incredible. That's one of the biggest things I'm looking forward to right now.
Dude, your life is going to, everything that you thought that was important to you is going to completely change. You're going to be like, dude, I'm so glad you got all those things out of the way, because now you're going to be like, this is so different, and it's hilarious, man. Now I travel all the time, but I travel to different places. Like I travel to St. Louis, Missouri, so I can take my son to a roller hockey tournament, and it's like I get to see him living his dreams, and I'm like, this is fucking badass. Like I would have never gotten excited about going to St. Louis, Missouri, but then it's like the tournament ends, we go get badass seats at Busch Stadium, watch a Cardinals game, then catch a flight on the way home. This weekend we're going to Charleston, South Carolina. We're going to do a tournament there, and then as soon as this championship game is done, we're hopping on a car and we're driving to Charlotte, North Carolina to watch the NASCAR race. It's just like cool moments with your kid where it's like I'm sure you're going to feel this way where you look back and you say you didn't have those cool moments. You said your childhood was kind of rough, and it's like, dude, think about how different your kids' childhood is going to be because of what you've earned for them. That's awesome, man. I'm excited for you. That's one of the coolest things ever. Let's talk about these other people that have said, hey, you got to have Nick on the podcast and your connections with them, because I want to hear it from you, your perspective. Like Scotty T coming on, and he talks about this credit card stacking and these points and stuff like that. You said you just traveled the world. How much of like time did you invest into the knowledge of like stacking these points? Because you're running PPC campaigns, so obviously you're spending a lot of money. Is that what you were doing? Like putting that on credit cards, stacking up, and then allowing you to go wherever you want in the world?
Yeah, so I'm going to give you guys a huge gem right now that's going to blow your mind. So most people, when they get credit card points, they'll just, go on the American Express travel portal or the Trace Chat travel portal and book a flight. That is the biggest way you can disrespect your points. Never, ever do that. So when you earn points and you want to book flights, you transfer the points to the airline partner that you want to travel with. So if you're traveling with Delta, you transfer them out to Delta or American or whatever. But what most people do not know, this is going to change the game for you, is that all these airlines, they're in alliance with each other, right? So for instance, I booked a flight on Delta from San Francisco to Sydney, Australia. When I looked it up on Delta, how many points it was going to cost, because it's going to be 355,000 points for one-way first class ticket. But Delta's in alliance with Air Canada, right? So I went on Air Canada. That same flight going out of San Francisco to Sydney was 75,000 points on Air Canada. So I just transferred my points to Air Canada and was able to save all that money.
Huge. I mean,
having that knowledge allowed me to travel. Travel for over a month, all first class flights. Lay flat beds, caviar, champagne, 5-star hotels, all courtesy of Amex points. But if I try to do that out of the travel portal, that wouldn't have got me very far.
What's your favorite place that you've traveled to so far?
Dubai was really cool. If you guys have never been to Dubai, that's an incredible time. Everything's just the best in Dubai. The restaurants, the hotels, the shopping, you name it. Thailand was a blast. I had a blast in Thailand. That was, the beaches, the elephant sanctuary, the nightlife scene there. Absolutely phenomenal. And Japan, that was another fun one we did recently as well. If you've never been to Japan, you got to go.
Okay, so have you ever been to Iceland?
Not yet. I've been to Ireland, but not Iceland.
Oh man, I was hoping you were going to tell me how awesome it. That's like my place that I want to go, and I haven't been. And it's funny. At this point, it's not because I can't go. I'm almost scared to go. I've wanted to go for so long, and I have the expectation of like what it's going to be like. I'm like, I know the moment I'm going to land, I'm going to be like, oh man, it's not nearly as cool as I was going to be. So it's like I'm like holding back from going. That's awesome. So
that's what it's all about for me, though, is being what you just said with your son and how you're able to take him and give him those experiences. That's what money buys you, is experiences and memories. If you think that like going to Louis Vuitton and buying Ferraris is going to give you fulfillment, it does not, because I already did all that. I've been to Louis Vuitton enough to bought Ferraris.
Okay, but talk about that a little bit, because you say that. Carlos Reyes says that, and you guys are the guys that it's like, you've gone out, you've done the whole like Rolexes. I mean, bro, that's probably a Rolex that you're wearing right there, right?
Apple Watch, baby.
Oh, okay, there you go. A little bit better. Okay, so, but you've gone out, you've spent the money on these luxurious items. And so for someone that's never been able to splurge on themselves like that, and they listen to you and they say, oh, okay, Nick, but that sounds great. You still got to do the Lambo. You still got to do the Rolex. And you're telling me that it's not about that. How is someone that's never had the opportunity to do that, how are they supposed to get over the fact that like they still have that desire to do that?
You're not. You're probably gonna have to go blow the money yourself and figure it out for your damn self. I mean, I did because I was that guy. You know, I was the poor kid growing up. You know, that's all I've had was pictures of fucking Lamborghinis on my walls, and you know, my vision board was full of Rolexes and all that stuff. And until you go through it, like, no, you're gonna listen to this and it's gonna go one ear and out the other, and you're gonna go blow the money. But just remember that Nick told you that after you get done selling all that shit, you should have just took the trips and spent time with the people that you loved. You would have got a lot more fun out of that.
I'm gonna be honest with you. You tell me right now, I can either go to an elephant sanctuary in Thailand or I can have a Rolex. Bro, give me the elephants.
Hands down.
I've seen your videos with you with those elephants. It's like, dude, that is like one of the coolest experiences of all time. Like, that's what I want. A watch, bro. I can't wear a watch. I would be so afraid. I'd be walking around with my wrist like this the whole time, afraid that I'm gonna scratch the thing.
I don't even wear them anymore. I got them sitting in the safe, and I just wear that. I mean, this does a hell of a lot better job than a Rolex. It tells me a lot more useful shit.
Yeah. I wear this Whoop just so it can tell me how long I can live. It's like, hey, you need to sleep more. Okay, that helps me. Rolex, what time it is. I got a cell phone that can tell me what time it is. Come on now.
That's right.
So the other person that we had on was Amanda Webster. She talked about, business lines of credit and things like that. She said that, you're using that. So talk about.
I'll show you something real quick. I'll show you something. So Amanda Webster, she's awesome. Been, good friends with the people over at Fund and Grow for a long time. And I'll show you what they were able to do for me was this right here. So you guys want to talk about, getting funding and like 0% interest cards. I'm a huge credit card nerd. So to show you the level of nerd that I have, we just got
look at this.
And pages and pages. And it just keeps going, right? So that's all from Fund and Grow. I don't even know. It's probably close to $2 million in available credit that I can use whenever I need, if it's for a fix and flip or, whatever I want to do, but I've got that availability. So
also for your PPC campaigns, right? I mean,
yep, but I only use a few cards. So like I've got that whole binder, but I'll show you the best cards to use right now. So for your PPC, you guys need to use the American Express Gold card. That's going to give you 3x on your advertising. Or you can use this one right here, which is the Business Preferred card. This also gets 3x on advertising. So use that for your advertising. And then I use the American Express Platinum. We use that for like all of our other general and administrative expenses and things like that. So those are the ones I carry around the most.
And then you said you're using some of that, like if you decide to do a fix and flip or something like that, is that just for the rehab, or are you also finding ways where you can take down a property using some of the credit?
You can. So back in the day, like, when I didn't have it, like now we got the cash. So we have the cash to close and all of that. But when I was getting started, I learned how to liquidate credit cards. So there's a few different ways you can liquidate a credit card. One, you can use a service like Plastique.com or Melio.com, or you can send yourself an invoice using Stripe. There's another way too. I used to get creative. I'd go to the Apple store and I'd buy say I needed $10,000 off of a credit card and I needed the cash. Well, I'd go to Apple and I'd buy 4 MacBooks, for $4,000 each. Then I'd go return them later on that day, and I would do a split pay. So I would say, hey, I need you to return all the money to my debit card. And they would return all the money to my debit card. And so that 12 grand would go into my checking account, and then I could wire it off the title or do whatever I needed to do with it.
Oh, bro, you're creative.
It's what it takes. You gotta be resourceful as an entrepreneur.
I love it. And then the other person was Dane Ballwinkle. I guess he was talking about either the oil and gas or some crypto or something like that. So are you messing around with that stuff as well?
Yeah, that's my fun money. I just have that in a portfolio. And Dane and Corey have been friends with mine for a long time, well before they were in crypto. We were in a lot of real estate masterminds together.
Yeah.
So, that's the great thing about, our community is, it's almost like a family, and you build relationships with people, and you get to not only, continue to do business with them when they go to other industries, but these are the people that you do life with. You like, know, and trust them. And where else are you going to meet like-minded, crazy people like us? You're not going to meet them, out in town. You're only going to meet them going to events, masterminds, things like that. So they manage my crypto portfolio for me.
So I gotta tell you a story. This happened not last night, but the night before. I woke up in the middle of the night, and I had a dream that I was interviewing you on the podcast, because I said it last week when I was wrapping up the interview with Dane. I was like, I got to get Nick on the podcast. So I had it in my mind, and I probably was going to sleep, like thinking about what I needed to do this week. And it was like, I got to reach out to Nick to get him on the podcast. And in the dream, I was talking to you about Closers Olympics. And you and I went head to head in the Closers Olympics. And what I said in the dream is crazy, because I've never actually thought this, but this was my subconscious actually thought to tell you. And it's weird because I don't remember most of the dream, but I do very specifically remember what I said to you. So I'm going to say it to you now, but this came from my dream. During the 2021 Closers Olympics, they ran the little spinny wheel on who we were going to go head to head, and me and you got paired up. And I never really said anything to you. You're one of the few people that has competed in the Closers Olympics that I never really talked trash to. I mean, would you agree? I never really said a whole lot to you at all.
Well, you made quick work of me. It was just
but listen, the year before, when I got paired up with Nick Luivano, I mean, I called him the first round bye. Like, I don't even have a competitor. Like, I was talking mad trash. I was talking trash to Aaron Bevins, Quentin Flores, everybody, right?
Yeah.
And the reason why I didn't say anything to you is because of the amount of respect that I have for you as a business owner and operator. That from are you going to compete with me on a closing level? Well, no, I didn't think that, because that's not what you do. I mean, quite frankly, it was very obvious. The only reason why they even had you in the Closers Olympics is because of your brand and your name and your face. It was to sell tickets.
Right.
Would you not agree?
100%.
I mean, that was it. I mean, it was like, hey, Nick, we're going to pay you to be in the Closers Olympics, and we want to use your face, and you're going to quietly take a first round exit, and no one's going to give it. Right. And that's what happened. But I never said anything about you because of the amount of respect that I have for you on a whole different level. If we had a competition on whose wholesale business can make more money in a month, that's an entirely different level of competition. That would be a competition that your team could compete in, because that's the business that you've built. So I just wanted to say that to you, bro. That's the reason why I never said anything to you. I never had.
I appreciate it, but next time talk some trash, because I thought it was because you didn't like me or something.
No, bro, it had nothing to do.
No, that's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah, it had everything to do, and it's not that I didn't have respect for these other guys. It's that a lot of these guys, they go live, they do videos where they're talking to sellers and this and that, and it's like, I knew coming into this, it's like, that's not who Nick is. Nick ain't talking to no damn seller. Nick is in the elephant garden in Thailand. What are we talking about right now? So I just wanted to let you know that, man, because like you said, this industry is so small, and it is like we are a family. It's crazy to think that you and I met 6 years ago. It's not like we're like friends or anything like that, but like, from the outside looking in, bro, it's like, I'm rooting for you. I also want to kick your ass, but I'm rooting for you. It's like, I love seeing your growth, and and all of that. So it is a crazy small community that we have. And I tell people that all the time. So proud of everything that you've been able to accomplish, man.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate that. It means the world to me, giving me all these compliments, being proud. It's one thing to hear, that somebody's proud of you, but for another entrepreneur at a high level to say it, it carries a completely different weight. So,
well,
man, really
I mean, the facts are, it's like today I did a video about competition breeds greatness. And I truly believe that. And I say it all the time where I'm like, dude, in my wholesaling business, I look to your business and say, you're my competition. Like, you're nationwide, just like we are. Like, quite frankly, I don't know many other people that run the type of business that we run at the volume that we run at. Right. So I always look at you as like, you're kind of my neck and neck competitor.
Right.
But very rarely do our businesses actually go head to head. It's like there's so much opportunity out there. So my next question is with your decade of experience, where do you think we are right now as a whole, as an industry, specifically on wholesaling, not real estate, not the market, wholesaling? Where do you think we sit in 2024 right now?
Right now in 2024, I see a lot of legislation coming down. It's going to be interesting to see how that affects the industry. I'm a firm believer that the cream will rise to the top. So no matter what happens, guys like us are going to figure out a way to succeed, and it's probably going to wash out a lot of the amateurs and newbies when things get more challenging from a legislative point of view. But overall, man, I've never seen a better time and a better opportunity for what we do. The market's on fire. The amount of education and software and tools that we have, I don't think it's ever been easier to be successful. So if you're just getting into the industry right now, you consider yourself blessed, because when RJ and I started, 2014, I feel like the old man now, talking, but it was a lot different. We didn't have.
That's why we got gray in our beards, bro. We are the old men.
I'm telling you, man. Yeah, this industry will age you if you let it.
Hey, it's hilarious to me because you were talking about softwares and technology. You and I both are huge advocates for InvestorLift. I mean, bro, do you remember the days of dispositions without InvestorLift?
I was doing it. It was a nightmare. I was getting cussed out by realtors all day, and cold calling and manually dialing property management companies.
These people coming in nowadays and they're like, man, wholesaling's hard. And I'm like, nah, let me go pick up a property in the middle of Kansas and you try to dispo it without InvestorLift. Come on. That's right. That's hard. Like nowadays, It's like, oh, bro, you just get on there and you know exactly how much someone bought it for, one street over, and then there's their phone number. It's like, bro, this isn't hard. It's fucking easy. This is shooting fish in a barrel. Come on now. What are you doing now? Because you guys nationwide, and I know you do a lot of novations and stuff like that, but how are you going to be handling like the regulations in places like Oregon and South Carolina, and even some of the ones that have already existed like Nebraska, where they're really hammering down on our ability to do either marketing of the contract? So like in Nebraska, I don't know if you guys have experienced this or not, where it's like you have to have a realtor to even like blast it out on Lyft. Or Oregon coming down with like probably the most strict regulations. South Carolina, pretty strict. How are you guys going to be handling that? Are you just going to eliminate those states, or are you going to try to find workarounds?
We're going to try to find workarounds, but in the meantime, we're going to remain compliant. Like I'm not going to get, my team or myself sued. So we're actively just staying on top of everything that's coming out. And for the short term, we just stopped marketing in South Carolina and Oregon recently. But that doesn't mean that we're not going to go back in once we figure out.
Bro, you and I run our businesses very similar. It's like I just said this the other day. I was like, yeah, I mean, all I'm going to do is stop marketing in South Carolina and Oregon, and then I'll just wait until someone smarter than me and has the bandwidth that they come out and they say, oh, hey, here's how you do deals in South Carolina. And then I'll immediately just turn on the juice. And then it's like, we're back, baby.
Exactly.
Dude, I did the math. We did a video. I would be curious if you could do this. I would love to see what your stats are. But we broke it down on every deal that we've ever done since 2014, what percent of deals we've done in each state. So, like, the Texas was number one. We've done 28% of our deals in Texas. And then Missouri was number two with 7%. Bro, so think about that. We went from 28% of our deals in one state to number two was 7%. So when we broke it down, like South Carolina was like 1% of our deals of all time. It's like, yeah, I mean, people are freaking out about these regulations, but I'm like, dude, it doesn't even slightly move the needle for us. It's like, that's 1% of our deals that we've done all the time. Temporarily pause and we'll figure it out. And I think there's going to be a huge opportunity in those locations because, like you said, it's just going to kill the competition. So once we know what the workaround is, whether it's we have to close and take title to those and then relist them and essentially wholesale them on the MLS or whatever it is, it's going to be a massive opportunity for us.
Exactly. Yeah. So I'm not stressing out about those states at all. And you brought something up cool was like you did a marketing audit on where you did all your deals. Yeah, for you guys that are nationwide, like RJ and I, and you're doing properties everywhere, once you've got a couple years under your belt, analyze where you're getting your best return on ad spend. That was eye-opening for us. You know, where's your best lead to contract per state? Where's your highest return on ad spend per state? That's going to help you when you're going and reinvesting your marketing dollars. So, like, I've done deals in all 50 states like RJ, but now we're, I think, in 12 or 15 different states. But that was because we were able to refine it by, you know, spending money nationwide and learning where we get our highest returns.
You know what's hilarious about you saying that, Nick, is it's easy sometimes to get lost in one KPI. Like, for example, you could go look and you could say, well, our average assignment fee in Washington State is $40,000. And you're like, oh, well, we should do more deals in Washington State. But then you could go back and you could say, well, how much ad spend did we have to spend to get that? Because when you're full nationwide, sometimes you don't realize that you're just loosely spending money in a market over and over and over again, and you're not getting any return. And then all of a sudden you look back and it's like, well, actually, some of these markets with less of an average assignment fee, it cost us next to nothing to get that. So it's almost all profit. And that's what really stood out to me, where it's like, yeah, maybe this market, we only average $15,000, but we're actually making more money on it on per deal because some of these states, dude, I mean, I remember back in the day, 2018, 2019, where it would cost you 10, 11 grand to get a deal in Arizona. It cost you 10, 11 grand to get a deal in Nevada, you know?
Yep.
So, yes, full audit of your marketing, not just one or two KPIs on it. So that being said, bro, I appreciate you hopping on here. Before we wrap up, any final words, advice on how to enjoy life while also being a badass entrepreneur and real estate investor?
Think big, you know, think big. And this is a marathon, not a sprint. It's the cliche term is, you know, everybody overestimates what they can do in a year, but completely underestimates what they can do in a decade. So have a long-term time horizon, work like hell, you know, especially in the beginning. I sacrificed the first 6 years of my career, and I did not live a life like this. Even though I had hundreds of thousands of dollars in the bank account, I was still eating at Chipotle every day. I was still driving a Mazda, and I was still living in a one-bedroom apartment. So delay gratification and keep paying bills. Pay your fucking bills. Pay them early. Pay them on time. Keep reinvesting into making your company stronger. And what happens is there becomes a point where you just can't be denied anymore, and it's almost a hockey stick. And then your company takes off because you've just fortified it for so many years and delayed gratification for so many years. So you gotta stick in there and have the guts to be able to do that.
Love it, man. Last question. Do we have a name for baby girl?
Oh man, it's baby girl. So I'm letting the wife run point on this one, but we got a few. We got Taylor, we got London, and Sophia. Those are the top three right now. So if you guys comment below or wherever, if you got to vote.
So Taylor, London, and what? Sophia.
Sophia, yeah.
RJ Perry's not on the table.
When we get the boy, we might have to.
Oh, when we get the, I see. The RJ Titanium Perry. That's a strong name, bro. Strong name. All right, guys. Nick, appreciate you hopping on here. Guys, if you like today's podcast, make sure to leave us a 5-star review. If you didn't like it, remember your job is you go, you search Real Estate Disruptors, find Steve Chang's podcast, leave it a 3-star review, and then come back, leave us a 5-star review. We only accept 5 stars around here. If you enjoyed the video, Nick gave us probably one of the best views anyone has ever given us on the background. Give the video a like. Show us that view one more time.
Oh yeah, you gotta love it. You check it out. You got the mansions in the background, then you got the beach out here, the islands, the yachts rolling by. It doesn't get a lot better than that.
There you go. Living the dream. Make sure you guys leave us a comment. Make sure you like the video. We'll see you guys next week. Appreciate you.